There's a force within every nation, every people, a silent energy that awakens when the time is right. It's the spirit of resilience, the power of dreams, and the courage to defy the impossible. Today, we witness such a force rising in India, a country not just of ancient wisdom, but of bold vision and unstoppable will. This is a story of awakening, where faith meets innovation, and tradition fuels transformation. Stay with me as we explore how India has stepped beyond expectations, lighting a path for the world to follow, and reminding us all that the extraordinary is possible. India's recent move represents a bold technological leap that has caught global attention. This was not a small upgrade or a modest improvement. It was a significant, high-stakes innovation that pushed the boundaries of what the world expected from a developing nation. Whether it's in the fields of space exploration, defense technology, quantum computing, or renewable energy, India has shown that it's no longer playing catch-up, it's innovating on its own terms. Take the example of India's space agency, which successfully landed a spacecraft near the moon's south pole, a region no other country had reached before. It wasn't just a scientific milestone, it was a signal of intent. India is ready to lead, not just participate. The most remarkable part is that this was accomplished with a budget, a fraction of what Western agencies typically spend. That level of efficiency, combined with execution, demonstrates not just technical capability, but a visionary approach to problem solving. In the tech sector, India is making strides in areas like indigenous semiconductor development, AI-driven public infrastructure, and digital payment systems that are now more advanced and scalable than many in the West. UP, India's real-time payments system, has processed more transactions than many developed economies combined, and it's being studied or adopted by other countries. These achievements aren't just impressive for India, they are disruptive to the global tech order. They break the pattern of innovation flowing in one direction. By investing in homegrown talent, infrastructure, and long-term vision, India is now creating breakthroughs that are being noticed across the world, not as a follower, but as an originator. This leap represents a clear shift in the balance of technological leadership. It's bold, it's unexpected, and it's redefining what's possible on the world stage. India's rise in global innovation is driven not just by technology, but by a disruptive mindset. Unlike traditional approaches that follow established Western frameworks, India is rewriting the rules. It's not just building systems, it's challenging how systems should work in the first place. This shift in mindset is allowing India to leapfrog over legacy problems and come up with solutions that are faster, cheaper, and often more scalable. A key example is India's approach to digital infrastructure. Instead of relying on slow-moving, expensive private models, India built the India Stack, a public digital framework that includes Aadhaar for identity, UPI for real-time payments, and DigiLocker for document access. These platforms didn't exist anywhere else in this integrated form. And yet, India built them not only to serve its massive population, but also to redefine how governments and citizens interact in the digital age. In the defense sector, India is embracing asymmetric strategies, focusing on drone warfare, cyber capabilities, and AI, rather than copying traditional Western military spending patterns. In the energy sector, it's not waiting for expensive foreign technologies. It's developing indigenous solar, battery, and green hydrogen projects with a focus on scale and self-sufficiency. This mindset of disruption is not rooted in rebellion for its own sake, it's born out of necessity and precision. India is often solving problems that no other country has, at a scale few others can comprehend. Rather than depend on imported blueprints, India is designing its own, from scratch, tailored to its environment, its challenges, and its people. The disruptive mindset is not just about innovation, it's about independence. It reflects a willingness to question, redesign, and improve rather than follow. It's this mentality that is helping India do what few thought possible and making the world take notice in a completely new way. India's recent achievements on the global stage carry the weight of an underdog surprise, an unexpected rise that has challenged long standing assumptions about power, innovation, and capability. For decades, India was seen by much of the world as a developing country struggling with poverty, infrastructure gaps, and internal challenges. Global analysts often overlooked or underestimated its potential to lead in high-tech sectors or advanced strategic domains. That perception is now being shattered. India has quietly but steadily built an ecosystem of innovation, resilience, and high-caliber talent. The surprise isn't just in what India has accomplished, but in how quickly it has done so. From building world-class space missions to creating a digital economy that operates at a level of scale unmatched by most countries, India is not just catching up, it's setting the pace in some areas. The Chandrayaan-3 moon landing is a prime example. While many assumed only a handful of countries could achieve such complex space maneuvers, India did it with remarkable efficiency. Similarly, India's development of indigenous defense systems, its growing semiconductor ambitions, and leadership in mobile and digital finance have all emerged as proof points of a new reality. What makes the underdog story even more compelling is that India has achieved this progress with far fewer resources compared to established powers. It has relied heavily on domestic innovation, frugality, and a deep bench of engineers, scientists, and thinkers who were long underestimated on the global stage. This element of surprise is not about catching others off guard once. It's about shifting expectations permanently. When a country previously seen as a follower begins to lead, the entire narrative changes. India's rise, powered by consistency and bold execution, is forcing the world to reassess who really sets the pace in the 21st century. India's recent trajectory has been deeply influenced by a focused and determined push for self-reliance. This movement, often referred to domestically as Atmanirbhar Bharat, is not just a policy slogan but a strategic transformation. It reflects a national mindset that seeks to reduce dependence on foreign nations for critical technologies, materials, and systems, and instead build capabilities at home that are resilient, efficient, and globally competitive. In sectors like defense, India has aggressively moved toward indigenization. Major weapons platforms, fighter jets, drones, and missile systems are increasingly being designed and produced domestically. The Defense Research and Development Organization (DRDO) has ramped up innovation, while private Indian companies are entering domains that were once reserved for international suppliers. This has enabled the country to cut imports and build a defense ecosystem aligned with national interests. In technology, India has launched its own semiconductor mission, aiming to build fabrication units and supply chains internally. Given the global chip shortage and geopolitical tensions surrounding tech imports, this move is a calculated step to secure digital independence. Similarly, India's digital services, like Aadhaar, UPI, and DigiLocker, demonstrate how the country is building core public tech infrastructure with little to no reliance on foreign companies. India is also pushing for energy independence. With a massive investment in solar, green hydrogen, and battery storage, it is trying to ensure that future energy needs can be met without relying heavily on imported oil or gas. The self-reliance initiative goes beyond economics. It represents a broader assertion of sovereignty and control. India is no longer content to be a consumer of global technologies. It wants to be a producer, an innovator, and a decision maker. By developing its own critical infrastructure and systems, India is laying the foundation for long-term strategic autonomy. India's recent actions have sent a clear signal to the world. The global balance of power is shifting. For much of the modern era, influence over technology, defense, finance, and diplomacy has been concentrated in a handful of Western nations. Emerging countries were often seen as followers in global affairs, not as leaders shaping the rules. India's bold moves across sectors are disrupting that perception and indicating a new geopolitical reality. By asserting its technological, economic, and strategic capabilities, India is demanding a seat at the decision-making tables where global policies and priorities are shaped. Its achievements, like the successful lunar landing, breakthroughs in digital infrastructure, and rapid economic growth, are not isolated events. They represent a pattern of upward momentum that positions India as a credible global influencer rather than just a regional player. In international diplomacy, India has become more assertive. It maintains strategic autonomy by building strong ties with the U.S., Russia, and the global South without being overly dependent on any single bloc. During global crises, such as energy shocks, supply chain disruptions, or vaccine shortages, India stepped up, supplying aid, stabilizing trade, and showing leadership where even traditional powers hesitated. The message is being received. Global institutions are reevaluating India's role. Multinational corporations are expanding operations there. Strategic alliances like the Quad and BRICS are evolving with India as a key voice. Countries' rising economic clout, combined with its growing technological edge and military capability, makes it impossible to ignore. This shift is not just about raw power, it's about credibility. India is proving that leadership in the 21st century will not be determined solely by legacy or military dominance, but by innovation, resilience, and the ability to act decisively on the world stage. The center of gravity in global affairs is slowly, but unmistakably, tilting. One of the most remarkable aspects of India's rise on the global stage is its ability to achieve world-class results with extreme cost efficiency. While other nations often pour billions into major projects, India has consistently demonstrated how innovative thinking, resource optimization, and local ingenuity can deliver comparable or even superior outcomes at a fraction of the cost. This is perhaps most visible in India's space program. The Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO) has executed missions that rival those of much larger space agencies, but with dramatically lower budgets. The Chandrayaan-3 lunar mission cost less than the budget of many Hollywood films, yet it achieved a historic landing near the moon's south pole, a feat no other country had accomplished. These achievements have positioned India as a serious player in space exploration without draining public finances. In the digital economy, India has built nationwide infrastructure such as UPI, Aadhaar, and the India Stack, systems that process billions of transactions and serve over 1 billion people. These platforms were created using open-source frameworks, minimal state expenditure, and strategic public-private partnerships. As a result, the cost per transaction or service is among the lowest in the world, yet reliability and scalability remain high. In sectors like defense, pharmaceuticals, and renewable energy, India continues to develop high-quality domestic alternatives to expensive imports. Its generic drug industry supplies affordable medicines to dozens of countries, while local solar manufacturing is rapidly growing due to government incentives and a focus on frugal engineering. This culture of cost efficiency is not about cutting corners. It is about maximizing value through smart design, local talent, and adaptive thinking. It reflects an approach where constraints become catalysts for innovation. India is proving that high performance does not always require high spending, and the world is beginning to pay close attention. India is increasingly positioning itself as a nation willing to challenge the global status quo. For decades, international systems, whether in trade, technology, defense, or governance, have been shaped by a few dominant countries, mostly in the West. These nations created frameworks that suited their own growth and influence. India, once expected to simply adapt to these structures, is now questioning and reshaping them based on its own interests, capabilities, and vision. This shift can be seen in how India is handling global trade and supply chains. Rather than remain a passive manufacturing hub, it is actively building self-sufficiency and resilience through initiatives like Make in India and production-linked incentives plies. The country is pushing global companies to produce within its borders, while also nurturing homegrown brands to compete internationally. In the tech world, India is resisting the dominance of a few global platforms by building sovereign digital infrastructure. Its government-backed systems for digital identity, payments, and public data access are challenging the notion that innovation must come from Silicon Valley. India's approach empowers both the state and its citizens, offering a model that is being studied by other emerging economies. On the diplomatic front, India maintains a non-aligned yet assertive stance. It refuses to be drawn into rigid alliances or ideological blocs. Instead, it engages with both the West and the global South, making independent decisions on trade, defense purchases, and energy partnership, even when these decisions go against the preferences of powerful nations. India's growing confidence in pushing back against outdated models and demanding reforms in institutions like the UN Security Council or the WTO reflects a deeper ambition. The country is no longer content to play by rules made elsewhere. It is advocating for a new order, one that reflects today's multipolar realities and recognizes the aspirations of emerging powers. India's recent rise has not come from playing it safe. Many of its most impressive achievements have involved high-stakes execution, bold decisions carried out with precision under intense pressure. These actions reflect a growing national confidence and a willingness to take calculated risks, even when the margin for error is narrow and global attention is intense. In the space sector, missions like Chandrayaan-3 and the Aditya L1 solar probe were not just technologically ambitious, they carried enormous symbolic and strategic weight. A failure would have been a major setback, both in terms of credibility and morale. Yet India proceeded, confident in its scientists, engineers, and project leadership. These missions were not just successful, they were historic, establishing India as a leader in low-cost, high-impact space innovation. In geopolitics, India has taken similarly bold steps. Amid rising global tensions, it has refused to take sides blindly. During the Russia-Ukraine conflict, India continued energy trade with Moscow while maintaining strong ties with the West. This balancing act was high risk, but India managed it with strategic finesse, protecting its national interests without isolating itself diplomatically. Domestically, India's rapid digital transformation was another high-stakes move. Rolling out systems like Aadhaar and UPI across a country of over 1.4 billion people involved enormous logistical, technical, and privacy challenges. There was no global blueprint to follow. Yet India implemented these platforms at scale, bringing hundreds of millions into the formal digital economy. High-stakes execution is becoming a pattern in India's governance and innovation approach. It reflects a mindset shift from hesitation to ambition, from dependency to leadership. These moves are often made under global scrutiny, with limited resources and intense time pressure, yet they are being delivered successfully. India is showing that real leadership comes not from avoiding risk, but from embracing it with clarity and conviction. India is not merely participating in global systems, it is rewriting the rulebook itself. Traditional models of governance, innovation, and economic growth have long been shaped by established powers. But India is actively challenging these norms and creating new paradigms that better fit its unique context and aspirations. In technology, India has crafted unprecedented digital frameworks that prioritize inclusivity and scale. The Aadhaar biometric identification system, for example, is the world's largest of its kind, providing a digital identity to over 1 billion people. This foundational infrastructure supports a range of public services and financial transactions, driving mass inclusion in a way the world has never seen. This approach to digital identity and governance is setting new standards, inspiring other nations to consider similar models. Economically, India's rise is built on a mix of market reforms and strategic state intervention, an approach that doesn't fully align with classical Western free market principles. Through initiatives like Make in India and targeted incentives for startups, India is fostering innovation while simultaneously protecting and growing domestic industries. This hybrid model defies easy categorization and challenges existing economic orthodoxy. In global diplomacy, India's foreign policy rejects binary alignments. Instead, it promotes a multi-aligned approach, balancing relationships with diverse powers without becoming dependent on any single bloc. This nuanced strategy is redefining how emerging nations can assert autonomy while engaging with major powers. India's rulebook also extends to sustainability and development. It pursues ambitious renewable energy goals, aiming to become a global leader in solar and green hydrogen, but does so with an emphasis on affordability and accessibility for its population. By rewriting the rulebook, India is shaping frameworks that reflect its values and realities. This process signals a shift from passive acceptance to active leadership, and it is redefining what is possible for a rising power in the 21st century. India's recent achievements and strategic moves have triggered significant reactions across the globe. Countries, institutions, and global corporations are taking notice, reassessing their views and strategies in light of India's rapid rise. This response reflects a growing acknowledgement that India is no longer just an emerging market or regional player, but a major force on the world stage. Governments around the world, including the United States, Europe, China, and Russia, are recalibrating their diplomatic and economic approaches toward India. The U.S., which once dominated in technology and defense partnerships, is increasingly treating India as a key strategic partner rather than just a secondary ally. This shift is evident in the strengthening of alliances like the Quad, where India plays a pivotal role in balancing power dynamics in the Indo-Pacific region. Global institutions such as the United Nations, World Trade Organization, and International Monetary Fund are also responding by expanding India's role and influence. Discussions about reforms to better represent emerging economies often highlight India as a candidate for greater leadership and permanent membership on key bodies, reflecting its increased geopolitical weight. Multinational corporations are eager to deepen their investments in India. The country's massive consumer base, rapidly growing tech sector, and government initiatives like Make in India offer lucrative opportunities. This has led to increased foreign direct investment and strategic partnerships in areas ranging from manufacturing to digital infrastructure. Even neighboring countries and regional powers are adjusting their policies, recognizing India's growing influence in South Asia and beyond. Some are seeking closer ties, while others are revising their own strategies to compete more effectively. This wave of global reaction underscores that India's rise is not going unnoticed or uncontested. It is prompting a broad reevaluation of global power structures and alliances, signaling a new era where India is a decisive player in shaping the future of international relations and innovation. India's bold actions and visionary mindset have reshaped global expectations and demonstrated that true leadership comes from innovation, courage, and self-reliance. As the world watches, India is proving that barriers can be broken and new paths can be forged. This is not just a moment for one nation. It's a beacon of possibility for all who dare to dream bigger and act boldly. To everyone contributing to this extraordinary journey, keep pushing boundaries. Good luck as we step into a future defined by fearless ambition and collective progress. Thank you for being part of this remarkable story.